two, one.
International superstar, Miss Mother B.
You are now tuned in to Butter Bee Rocker on Transparency Talks Podcast.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the episode of Transparency Talk Podcast. I am your girl, Butter Bee Rocker. Listen, we have an amazing show for you today. But before I bring on my special guest, if you missed last night, oh my God, it was powerful. BBR Indie Films 1 year anniversary. All I can say is wow, wow, and wow. It was completely sold out. The amount of people in this room. The people in this room, guys, like I'm still overwhelmed. I have not been able to check my messages yet. I've been getting them. I'm getting the dings and everything, but y'all gotta give me like a couple of hours because wow, y'all showed up, showed out for me, for my team. Thank you so much to everybody that came out and supported BBR in films. Thank you to all of the panelists. I mean, the films. It was magical last night, and yesterday was our first time actually giving out an award. We're going to be giving out awards to best filmmaker each bi-monthly event now. So we're going to be leading up to our gala that's going to happen next year. That was one of the big announcements. So our 2-year anniversary is going to be our award show gala. And so each bi-monthly from here forth, we will pick one overall best film, and the panelists helps decide the best films and everything. So we are super excited. But with all that being said, he is an award-winning producer, director, editor, drummer, and he's a dentist. Can you please show some love for Dr. Marc Thevenin Jr.? Hello.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, Marc?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on your show today.
Oh, thank you for being here. I like the smile. I like the smile.
3 easy payments of $99.99.
Right. You can have a smile like this too. Marc, you tell everybody a little bit about yourself. I like to dive right on in.
Okay. My name's Marc. I'm from New York City, born and raised. I live in Chicago currently. I am a practicing dentist and a filmmaker. And I like to make people smile with films and dentistry. So, that's what I do.
I like to connect the two.
Yeah. And I play drums as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, drummer in the house. Mm-hmm. My son is a drummer too. So,
oh, word.
Yeah, really like drummers. Okay, so you said you are a dentist in practice.
Mm-hmm.
You're editor, you're drummer, you do all these different things. How did you go from dentistry to, hey, I want to make films? Two totally different worlds.
Right. Well, first, before anything, I was a drummer, right? I grew up playing drums in church and all of that. And I started wanting to get much better at my craft. So I started videotaping myself playing at home so I can like critique it. And then I started posting videos on social media. And that's how I really like started to learn how to edit, learn how to make videos. I would go to concerts. I would, record snippets here and there. I would put on shed sessions with my friends and just record it. And I would start making videos that way. And I just found myself while I was in dental school really enjoying, like, if I'm not studying, I'm in front of my computer and I'm in front of my drums, messing with the camera, trying to make videos. And me and my business partner, we would talk about movies. And I've always been watching movies. And we would talk about movies, especially in the Christian space. We started seeing how a lot of Christian movies were corny, right? So we decided, why don't we make a Christian movie? And let's just find the people to make it. And then he looked at me and he was just like, well, why don't you direct? And I was like, oh, I guess. And then I was like, well, why don't you film it? Because, you know, he was better at camera work than me. I was like, why don't you film it? And we're like, shoot. And we started studying for several years, started studying how to make movies, how to make films, you know, how to edit, camera work, all that stuff, how to direct. And then by the time I graduated from dental school, I got into residency. We started our company together. And throughout that year, we were starting to, you know, connect with writers and trying to see, okay, who can we get to actually write it? Then we were like, well, why don't we study writing? So we started studying writing, Sigfield, all of that. And then we wrote, directed, produced, and shot our first project, which was a web series back in 2012. And ever since then, I mean, career did kind of get in the way over some of those years. But eventually we started picking things back up and getting things going. So that's really how it started.
I love it. You're like me. You just dove right in. You learned the
Yeah.
tools. I was doing YouTube University and calling friends and trial and error, but I jumped right on in. I said, you know what? Why don't I? And I created, but we did something a little different. With my first film, I had created 13 episodes, but when I found out how much it was going to cost me to actually film it, I said, oh, I have to trickle this thing down. So I had to feature film. But yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and
Self-made.
we paid for our first project completely out of pocket.
I get that.
Man, it was some rough days where it's just like, yo, bro, can you send me $15? I don't get paid till Friday. You
Yeah.
know, 'cause at the beginning, I was only working like 3 days a week, and you know, paying for a hotel every week because I was traveling. And you know, it's just those sacrifices of putting your hard-earned money into something that's a deep passion of yours. You know, and especially learning on your own dollar. You know, it's
Yep.
nothing like your own
Yeah.
investment.
Yeah. So speaking of that, so my film, I had a cast of 32. I could not
Hmm.
get any sponsors. I could get sponsors for my music. People like, yeah, we know you from the music world. You talking about films. I ain't never seen you do a film ever.
Right.
And now you asking for some money. So it was a no. And so I had to put my own money up. I mean, the behind the scenes of getting the project done was, I mean, it was so many ups and downs. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. Let's talk about what your ups and downs were with your first film and your process.
With the first film, at the time I was living in New York. I lived in
Hmm.
Harlem, and then I would commute to work upstate New York in Binghamton. And Ronald, who was already living here in Chicago, he was kind of like he was over a home health agency. So
Hmm.
we had so much demand with work, you know. We had so much demand with work. So there's like I would get out of work at 6, 7 o'clock. And then that's when we would get on to Skype back then and get to work. And there'd be days he'd be like, yo, Mark, wake up. Because on Mondays, that early morning drive up to upstate New York, I'm in my hotel
Right.
room, like I'm on a computer like this. So, you know, you're talking about sweat equity, you know what I mean? Putting in a lot of
Yep.
time, putting in a lot of
Yep.
work, staying up late, you know, going to work, coming back, and then you're like, all right, net 30, right? Net 30, right? You know, with your contracts, trying to make sure you could just push payments out so that you could pay the next thing and pay the next thing. So it was a tough experience, that first one, because you know I was part-time and he was his salary wasn't where he wanted it to be at the time, and you know, just paying for everything out of pocket. And then on top of that, every few weeks before we started shooting the project, I'm flying to Chicago because we shot it in Chicago. I'm flying
Hmm.
back to and from Chicago, and then during the shoot, I had gotten tonsillitis, so I was real sick, you know, and It was just like maybe we did like a 10-day shoot, and then we did 2 or 3 weekend pickups. And then
Mm-hmm.
other than that, just I'm in the office in between patients, like cutting, editing, and all that. And I'm like, okay, Sid, what you think about that? So man, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work.
But you wouldn't trade it for nothing, right?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. It was the
No.
best. It was the best horrible experience ever.
I,
Like it
I
was so many
it,
trials and errors. I lost
yep.
11 pounds doing my film. Like it was
I,
so much. Like
wow.
people don't know all of the behind the scenes. I have so much respect for filmmakers once I did my first one, because it really is a lot of hard work, sweat, tears to get your project out there and everything. At least you had a partner to do it with. So
Right.
y'all lean on each other and everything. But yeah, it's tough. And I would even say it's a little bit more tougher for women because it's a male dominated world in the
Okay.
in the film industry. Well, from my experience, it was male dominated, and so I had a lot of people really trying to tell me what we gonna do with my film project and stuff like that. So
Wow.
would it be in two people on your project? How did
Mm.
y'all work out, your roles and making the final decisions?
That's a great question. So we grew up together
Okay.
from church. And then from church, we kind of went our separate ways for a few years. And then when I was in college, he was in high school. I went to school where he had moved to. And both of us being musicians, we spent a lot of time together, band rehearsal, this and that. We would drive to Boston to play for gigs, and we started playing at the same church out there. So there was like years of, like, when you're playing musically, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you're a singer, so you really know there's this almost intuitive understanding that you get of the other person when
Yep.
you're like you're in the groove and you're like, oh yeah, you're just kind of connecting that way. And that same connection from music translated into the film world. So when we're on set, um it's kind of like, yeah, we need to do that, right? And we're kind of always in sync. But when we're not, we're 100% comfortable being open and honest about the reasoning behind our thought process.
Yeah.
I respect his opinion, he respects my opinion, and ultimately, sometimes the truth of the matter is you have to know that the person that you're dealing with, the ultimate goal is the best product ever. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not an attack on you, it's more the idea itself can't stand. So you have to be open and vulnerable to let go of something that might not be um, working for the both of you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And at times, you gotta tell them, yo, look, yo, this could be better. And same to me, like, yo, bro, you gotta step up in this area. And I just think the truth of the matter is when you have that mutual respect, um, there's nothing that communication can't solve.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. One of the things that, I mean, me coming from the music world, that I caught immediately was how amazing y'all sound in the music that y'all had in your background, and I was like sick. It was just amazing. And then when Ron came down and started talking, I was like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. They're musicians. No
right.
wonder the music was just out of this world. It was clean cut. I mean, y'all should have a whole soundtrack like that
Oh,
y'all put out. It was that good. Like,
wow.
so yeah.
Thank
So y'all featured Bleachers
you.
at our last BBR Indie Films, and Ron was there. It Y'all had so many people that was talking about y'all film. It was
Mhm.
amazing. So can you tell us about your film Bleachers?
Okay, so Bleachers is a film about a girl who has grown up with her dad absent, and she's developed some significant anger issues that she does not know how to channel correctly. And she, in one of the earlier scenes, you can see she had a physical altercation with a teammate. So this forces her to leave living with her mom and to live with her father. And that forces her to rekindle a relationship that is fractured at a time where she's demonstrating the most emotional disconnection and the most emotional trauma for what she's going through as someone who's trying to improve at her skill as a basketball player and as a young adult who's starting to grow up and get to a certain age. She wants to understand, like, what is it about me that you didn't want, that you left? You know what I mean? So that's what it's about.
Love it. Do y'all plan on turning that into an actual feature film?
Yes.
I'm glad
And we're
that you
looking
said.
for funding.
I'm glad you said it. Well, people was asking about y'all film. People was asking. They was asking, is it going to be a feature film? They asked, what was the cost? It looked so professional. You would have thought y'all put $1 million in it. Like, it was clean, and I'm not just saying it. That was a very clean cut, very professional film. I want to work with you guys. Like, I told you that immediately. Like,
yes.
Stuff is nice. What was your casting process like?
So first and foremost, I just think that things, when you're meant to do something, things fall in place. So first and foremost, I had seen a post on Roger Anderson's page, was it last year, where he was talking about he was going to be on a panel at an event at Vivid HQ in Atlanta. And so I was interested in going, so I just bought my ticket, and I told Ron, I'm like, yo, I'm headed to Atlanta this weekend. He's like, oh, what you gonna go do out there? I was like, I'm just going to this little, seminar thing. He's like, all right, send me the info. So I sent him the info. He was like, yo, I'm gonna meet you out there. So I went first. I went like a day early, and he came the next morning. And we went to the seminar, and we sat on the left-hand side. We're watching the whole thing going on. And this guy sits in the same row, and I look down, and I'm like, I feel like I've seen that dude on something before. But anyway, paying attention to the the program going on. And when it was done, he came around and he came by us, and he was, saying hello like he was passing by. So I just started chopping it up with him, and that was Amin Carter, who is our lead. And told him we came down from Chicago. He was like, yo, I'm from Chicago, da 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 da. And the vibe was so good between the three of us. I was like, yo, before a year is up, we're gonna work together. And when I tell you, just to skip ahead, when I tell you a year to the date is when we shot the project.
Oh wow.
From when we met him and made that statement, a year to the date is when we shot the project. So when we wrote it, and Ron and I, I commute for work still. So I'm driving around, going wherever I work, and we're on the phone, and he's like, yo, who are you thinking about for the lead? And I was like, yo, you remember that dude we met in Atlanta? He was like, yo, that's exactly who I was thinking about. I was like, yo, let's hit him up. Let's see if he's down. And we hit him up, we sent the script, and he was out the country. So we hadn't heard a response. He said, hey guys, when I get a chance, I'm going to read it. My signal's bad, but I'll let y'all know. And the day he told us he would have given us a response, he didn't respond. So we said, all right, well, we got to keep it pushing. So we started holding auditions. And we actually met this guy, had a whole audition with him, and we offered him the role. The next morning, Ali called. He was like, yo, guys, this script is fire. I need to be in this. I was like, oh, man, we already offered the role to somebody. He said, give it to me. Give it to me. He's like, I'll do it. So we really thought about it. We talked to him. We really spent a lot of time in conversation, and we were like, "Yo, he's the first choice. He was the first choice. Let's just go for it." So we gave him the role as Blue. The girl, we had a Christmas party. A friend of ours asked to use our house to do a Christmas party, and the party happened. We're at the house, and she's in the kitchen talking to Ron. She's like, "Yeah, I played ball." Da, 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 da. Ron calls me from downstairs, like, "Yo, Marc, come up." So I came upstairs, and he's like, "Yo, what do you think about her as the baller?" I was like, "So you play ball?" She's like, "Yeah, I used to play AAU." I was like, "Word? Do you know how to act?" She was like, "No, I don't know how to act." I was like, "Are you willing to take acting classes?" And she said, "Yeah, I'll do it." I said, "Whatever you need, I'll do it." So we hired an acting coach, sent her to acting classes, started working with her, started meeting her in the basketball court, doing drills, and we gave her the role. We gave her the role as
Wow.
mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blown away that this lady had never acted before.
Yep. Never
Because, and
before.
then y'all put her in acting classes. Wow.
Yep. Paid for the acting
Amazing
class.
story.
Mm-hmm.
I only feel bad for the guy that y'all had hired before. What y'all do with him? Y'all offered him another role?
So let me say this: when we called him up, we called him up, and he did a lot of commercial work, and we
Mhm.
called him up and we were like, "Hey, buddy, just we really liked you, da 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 da, but the guy that we really
We
want,
initially.
yeah, he contacted us. He really wanted the role, and he said to us, he said, "I told my girl last night that you guys really liked me." And that you guys were going to give me the role, and she said to him, she said, "Wow, for real?" And he was like, "Yeah, I didn't believe it myself." And it really says something about the energy you put out there in the world. I really think it's important that you should have faith in yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not to be unrealistic, but like the simple fact that he didn't really believe in himself that he could be in the role. I mean, I just feel like it was telling, and it was just so funny because 2 days ago I was watching TV and he was on the commercial. I was like, "Yo, Ron, that's the dude that we fired." But yeah, man, it wasn't meant for him to do the role, and other
Yeah.
people were using him for something else.
Yeah.
But when we were watching the commercial the other day, Ron looked at me. He was like, "Yeah, I'm glad we didn't use him because he didn't really hit, So
Now, who you had definitely embodied the characters. I mean, their chemistry together was amazing, and it was a really cool thing. And another thing that you just said, you went to Vivid HQ. We had the owner on our panel,
oh,
on
nice.
on our very first panel, so that's pretty cool too to
Yeah.
hear.
I forgot his name. Something Washington, right?
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep. I forgot his first name. I was sitting here trying to think of what it
Yeah.
is, but yeah. Shout out to Vivid HQ.
Hmm.
What advice would you give to aspiring filmmakers?
Study, study, and show thyself to prove.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't study enough. Um, I mean, let's just be honest. The truth of the matter is, just because you have a story to tell doesn't mean that you know how to tell it.
Mm.
And when people don't study, it's kind of like you're breaking the 180-degree rule, left and right. Like those are basics. I just think it's really important to study. The other thing, watch a lot of movies
Hmm.
and develop good instincts and have good taste. Having taste is something that just sometimes you acquire it from being cultured, from being exposed. You know what I mean? Like you just got to have good taste.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Your film Bleachers has been making its way on the film festival circuit, and it's been
Yeah.
winning left and right. What was that feeling when you first put it in the film festival and got that notification that, yeah, we want to premiere you?
So when we started writing this film, um, we wanted to make this to get into the ABFF.
Okay.
And, you know, we scheduled the timeline, the editing timeline, to be able to finish the project in time to hand it over to the ABFF. And when we got rejected from the ABFF, it was just, it was an emotional feeling of like, man, like what could I have done better to get this film selected? And you know, after that, I was just like, you know what? There, someone out there is gonna like our story. You know what I mean? So I did start to apply, submit to other festivals, and we've gotten selected in 5 festivals. And even the Film Freeway website sent us a notification that like we're like one of the top tiers in this year as far as selections. And
Wow.
so I really feel that it's important to understand that, especially in any kind of creative space, um, rejection isn't always an indication that your work is not good, that your creativity is not good. Sometimes it's politics. You know what I mean? And the truth of the matter is, you you have to be open to being vulnerable to win and to not win, to be
Yeah.
selected and not be selected. And the truth of the matter is, when it comes to art, someone out there is gonna like what you have.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very true. Very true. So what's next for you guys?
So what's next is right now we're still working on the full feature script, and we're really hoping to get funded so that we could be able to get the right kind of talent. We want to get bigger stars, actors, you know, what have you, and we want to get the theatrical distribution. And so it's not my first time getting a theater release, so I definitely would like to do that again. You know, theatrical release.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. And how can people book you and your team, the Mars Bros?
Um, so right now they can hit us up on Instagram, the Mars Bros, and yeah, the Mar. I was backwards. So that's the easiest way to get in touch with us, and then from there we can, you know, start whatever conversation is necessary. Mhm.
Okay. Well, I want to take this time to say thank you so much for being on Transparency Talks podcast. I'm sure that, well, I definitely learned a lot, and I'm sure that my team and everybody that's listening learned a lot as well.
Before you go, I wanted to commend you. I wanted to commend you big time because, as I told you, we've gotten in 5 film festivals. Your film festival was the best quality, the best experience from with the guys, because you know Steven and Ron were able to go. I wasn't able to go, so I didn't experience that one. And then there was a film festival that one of our producers, Courtney, had gone to this weekend, and it was just the debauchery in many of these film festivals. And I really appreciate you creating a quality product as far as your film festival to share and post, you know, young and intriguing artwork. And not only that, the actual experience itself, the quality of the experience, the sound, all of that, everything was smooth at yours, and I really appreciate that.
You know, you just added to how I'm feeling right now. I'm on such a high from yesterday. But thank you so much for saying that because that means a lot. I pride myself in to really showing these filmmakers that we care. Like
Mhm.
we do a lot. I mean, I'm talking about filmmakers in general. We do a lot to pour
Right.
our heart into these films, and all we need is the opportunity and the space, to really be able to shine and let people see our projects. And it's my honor to be able to show us in the great light and give the best quality that I can possibly give and everything. So I really do appreciate you saying that.
Definitely. I feel like making another movie tomorrow just to send it to you.
You should, because now, as I announced earlier, we're doing best films, best overall films, and we're having the panelists pick right then and there. And then they will be coming back for the grand finale, which will be our award show and everything. So you should absolutely start submitting some more stuff. So, we had to switch it up for the 1 year, make it another level. So now
Another level,
yeah, now we on that next level. So yeah.
Maybe you could retroactively vote on previous festivals.
And, that's possible as well. And we are going to have some wild cards. So we'll be picking 6 because, we'll have up until November, but we will put some wild cards in there where it wouldn't be bad to either look at some of the old films or even let some, additional people submit. But we're going to have some wild cards in there for sure.
Beautiful.
And I'm not just saying this just to say it. Like, your film is amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. I think I called you or text you like immediately.
Yeah, you text me.
Yeah. Before you had even got selected, I'm like, yo, like you had so I don't see the films. And then let me say this too.
Okay.
We get between 135 to 165 films every single time, right?
Wow.
And I believe the one that you did, we had like 160 films for that one that we had to shift it through. So my screeners looked through all of. I mean, you had so many 10s. I said, well, dang. You had 10s left and right. And I look at anything that's an 8, from 8 to 10. I look at those. But naturally, I look at all the 10s. Everybody had something amazing to say about your film. It was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Wow. So, yeah.
And maybe for your audience, would you be able to share one or two things that were commentary on the film?
Yeah, I guess let me see what I can I haven't done this live before, but let me go to Film Freeway and I will tell you what some people said. I ain't got no problem doing that. Hey, let me see what they said about you.
Okay.
Right. He said, let the people know what they said. I ain't mad at that. Okay, let me see.
Yeah, that way they can go watch the feature when it comes out. You feel me?
Yeah. And so now it's just with your short is strictly on the films on the festival circuit, right?
Yeah, strictly on the festival circuit. I was thinking about it like, should we put it out? But the goal for that was to create, interest, connections, maybe be able to get funding from that so that we could do the feature.
If you need additional actors from Atlanta, think about people from our team too.
I got you.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you 2 of them.
Okay.
A lesson taught on both ends. The film was focused around basketball, but in game was a father-daughter bond that was missed during childhood, but it is great to get redeemed. This is an absolute amazing film. Wow. That was one. Another, this was a film that I did skip through at first, and then I went back and read everything. The quality alone is freaking amazing. Who did the soundtrack? Oh my God. I'm mad that I skipped through this at first. That was
wow.
I mean, like I said, it has so many 10s that we get so many films. Yeah. So this person had skipped at first and then had to come back and actually look at the film and was blown away. So that was 2 of them.
Nice.
But, yeah.
And the music, the score. You said we should put the score out. You think we should put the score out?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Like it was it was a musical orgasm. It was just beautiful. Like beautiful.
Well, we had 2 guys working on it, Andrew Gerlicher and Aaron Day. Aaron Day is a guitarist, out of Chicago. He used to actually play with us at our church.
Yeah.
And we just really loved working with him. So he's also done scores for TV shows. So yeah.
And you know that y'all can submit the film, the music for the Grammys, right? Because they have music and films in the Grammys now.
Is it too late though?
It's too late for this one, but I'm saying y'all should consider that when y'all do your projects now.
Okay.
You know, so anywho, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be on Transparency Talks podcast. And I am going to talk to you later. We're going to see you guys later. All right. Peace, y'all.
All right. Bye.
Bye.